We're back. T.A. Mahoney, Tales from the Dark Side. Got another weirdo friend of mine. Seems like they're all. Maybe I'm the weirdo, huh, Wayne?
Well, you're a little weird. I mean, but I'm weird also, so that's why we sort of get along.
I got Wayne Gonzales. Wayne, I'll tell you a little bit about him. Me and him met many, many years ago. Both grew up in Brandon, played a little bit of basketball together. Wayne owns a roofing company, Gonzales Roofing, right?
Wayne Gonzales Roofing Incorporated. Yes, sir.
Great
Yes, sir.
people that just recently did my mom. So not that I push a lot of people here. Butler Boyd's the big one because they protect us when we tell on ourselves about doing stuff maybe we shouldn't. But this is all just for entertainment. We're just trying to bring some humor. No politics, none of that, just fun. Wayne, one of the things I've thought about recently is you're pretty much the guru down there on the east side of the bay. And recently you were telling me about some success you had. I know wintertime you love to snook fish, but you never take me.
No, I'm scared to take you because, I mean, you like to put things on Front Street, and I'm a bit of, we've
Secret
talked about
squirrel.
Yeah, secret spot, secret squirrel. Snook and bass and redfish in the same trip.
That's crazy.
Up the Alafai River, yeah. It's so funny.
I
how
thought
at
you
first,
lived on Little Manatee.
Well, yeah,
But
it
you're
all
fishing
started.
the Alafai.
It all started back in the day about learning about the snook, and it's so funny. I must have been 15 years ago when I first went up because I heard some old people talking, a couple old guys about catching big snook
Yeah.
up in the Alafai River, way up in the
You
freshwater.
talking about me?
No, it wasn't you. You weren't catching snook up in the Alafai River. You might have been spearing snook in the Alafai River, but you weren't catching them rod and reel. But so I started, it's all about paying attention and listening, because we all know that it doesn't, you don't learn everything on your own. You
That's
take
right.
bits and pieces from other people. And if you're paying attention, you're not plagiarizing. I mean, you're learning and listening. You want to pay attention to what people are saying and what they're doing. So I followed these guys' lead and went up the Alafai River, went up there. I went and bought some shiners at the only shiner place that's still around. I barely can't even tell where that was off Bullfrog Creek back in the day, and the one at Turkey Creek closed down.
Yep, that one out there. I
Yeah.
remember that one.
But we'd go up there and, we'd get on some big old snook. And
Now, would you wait till it got really cold? Is that what you were doing? So you were north of, or you were actually east of Kingsway.
I was definitely east of Kingsway.
Yeah,
and
so
I'm
you
sure
were
you can catch them west of Kingsway, but the more east you go, obviously it's 62 degrees because you have, besides just some other springs up east, you have a couple of little springs that keep it 72 degrees, and we all know the first cold snap, second cold snap, a certain strand of that snook come up that river. I don't know if it's the same every year, and that's always I try to ask you that, Mike. What do you think? Do you think the same family of snook come up the same river every year, or do new snook come in and out, or what do you think about that?
I don't know. I think
tough
that
one.
I think in the bay right there, you live on some of the best water there is, the east side of Tampa Bay, and I believe that family that you talk about gets bigger and bigger every year, especially with the limits that we have on them. But those fish in the river are not going to the beach.
They're
They're
not
not going to the intercoastal.
Do they spawn? Or
Oh, yeah.
Can they spawn
Yep.
in the river?
What brings them in the river? They've already spawned. They're moving in. They're on the outsides right now. If you remember the big success people had, you remember Joe's Island.
Yes, Joe's Island for sure.
In the summer,
Yeah.
you catch your monsters. I would assume that's their beach. That's their spawn. That's where the big ones go to lay the eggs. Right now, what you're seeing, Wayne, and it starts about now in September, they start moving. They've already spawned. The days start changing, and the purse seiners are not in the bay anymore. The shad come up the rivers. That's what those fish are following. They're following the food. They know the days are getting shorter. They know the cold's coming, so they're headed that way. Now, how far they go up, we used to wait till a good freeze before we went out there Kingsway area with shiners like you're talking
exactly.
about.
Kingsway.
If you go out too far, like out towards away from Kingsway, those shiners won't stay alive.
West, yeah. You don't want to.
Yep.
I mean, because they're and they'll go all the way from Kingsway all the way up past Bell Shoals
Yes,
Bridge.
they will.
They'll keep going. And
What's your biggest snook out there, Wayne?
about 37 inch, nothing over 40, but you always think you lost one bigger than that.
I bet you have. You've been out there enough to know them.
Not as fat as you'd like them,
Right.
but but just beautiful. But knowing that you have a shot at catching, a 6-pound largemouth bass, and the same time you're gonna catch a nice snook.
Now, did you keep that 37 incher?
No, I definitely always about catch and release. You know how I roll. Everything's by the book with me, Michael. And when I mean by the book, I mean it's my personal preference, because the joy for me is catching the fish. I love to eat too. I get it. And I don't clean fish that well. So
I really thought it was last year you made a call to me out of the blue. You're really excited about catching these fish, and you were telling me about how you get in there. You go through a neighborhood. So I instantly start thinking to myself, Wayne has finally come around. Yeah. Wayne is ready to keep snook. So I asked him, I go, we go in this neighborhood, is there a place we can maybe pull the snook out, put it in the truck, and leave? He was like, absolutely not. That's not why I called you. I go, well, then why would we be sneaking through a neighborhood if we're not going to keep the fish? Well, the sneaking was just 2 fish, right?
Yeah, just to get to the fish. You don't have to sneak, because we don't have to sneak nothing out we're not taking, Michael.
Yeah. So apparently he told me he'd call me back, and I didn't hear from him for about a month. It's kind of funny there.
Well, it's so funny, because I did run into the side. I came back down the river another time, and there I saw about 12 carcasses, all filleted, in an area that, where I was just, whether it's me or someone else that learns, because most people don't learn this area about how to fish them. They canoe or paddle past it.
It was probably the guys you took there.
No, I didn't take those. I didn't take a guy like you. I did take a couple people that actually had no little boat, had no trolling motor, because that's a guy you got to take. You can't take a guy that has a lot of time on his hands and barely a job.
Right. Because
next thing you know, he's down there fishing in your spots, and now you definitely can't show him where to get the shiners, because they sure as heck can't go catch shiners, So, but it's been a lot of fun. But it's just, for me, I'm just learning more about how the fish, fish are how they're living and how they're staying healthy. Now they're not as plentiful right now, but also you have fish hawk encroaching on it. It's just the Alafai is an incredible river.
Yeah,
people think it's because it's dark and this and that. It's one of the best rivers.
I had a guy
out there
today ask me, he goes, is it good to eat fish out of that river? It's such dark water. And I'm like, I almost told him, no, it's terrible. Bring them all here. We turn them in to get stuff checked at. From the fish cops. They'll come check them, make sure there's no bacteria in them.
But you were talking about fishing down there, in the Little Manatee River. I've been living down there for a minute. And just learning a lot, just trying to pay attention to the tides and the water and the and the different tides of the year. Like I said, the new moon for me is one of my favorite times to fish.
Yeah. Love it.
Love the new moon. But I'm learning a lot of stuff also. Just recently, which Ian's came in and bought Ian Beckles.
Sure.
He's always talked about catching a 40-inch 40-inch snook, and I said, you know what? I'm going to put him on that fish somehow. I don't know how I was going to do it, because that's hard. So we kept, fishing here and there, fishing there and there. So I've been going out, had a little more time on my hands, and I've been taking the pontoon boat out right as the sun rises. I've been going out. I've been seeing snook in this area a month earlier, and the water's a little clearer, and they were there. But they weren't 40 inches, but they were 36 inches. 5, 6 of them. And my pontoon, I was just sort of parked, and they just hanging out for a minute, and they just sort of came in. And I always try to fish for them with a lure later. No luck. Live bait.
Cast net? Do you try to cast net?
Cast net. I don't even throw a cast net,
Oh, I got cast nets here if you want to take one with you.
You got one that catches snook, right?
Oh, I guarantee you, if you know how to throw it.
So I went out one morning, and I saw someone in this spot that I was locating. And, I'm early. I said, why are they there so early? I said, why are they there? I pulled out my binoculars. And I look over, and I got to give a little credit, because, I knew the fish were there. And lo and behold, as I'm putting my binoculars, I said, man, that's a pig snook. Couldn't believe how big it was. And I said, no way. So then I watch him, and he throws out a big old chunk. So I know I've chunked bait fish, dead bait fish, but he's throwing out, and for me it looks like a ladyfish, but it's a ladyfish it's at least a 10-inch ladyfish with the tail cut off. So I knew right away. I said, well, I figure he's probably hooking it through the mouth, keep the mouth closed, nothing gets inside it. But that same day, I went out. I met the mullet guy I told you about that told me where the redfish was later that day. I asked him to buy 2 mullet. He just gave me 2 mullet. Nice guy from Plant City, out there working his tail off, catching mullet just by himself. You know, and when you see a guy like that, you're like, damn, I hope I end up like, I hope I'm still on the water like he is.
So I want y'all to take note of this story. So Wayne's out there, got him a pair of binoculars.
Yes.
Okay, he's in a pontoon boat. So all us fishermen, we already discount the pontoon boat. We ain't, you don't look over at a pontoon boat and worry about him stealing your fishing hole. Lo and behold, he knows what bait he's using with these binoculars. He knows right where the fish are. Is that what you mean by learning from other people?
Well, yeah, definitely. You got to pay attention. I was like the
smart guy.
Yeah, $6 million man. And I was just
he's
zoning
using
in.
ladyfish.
Yeah.
It looks like maybe 2/3 of one.
Yeah, a big old slap.
So what happened? You got a couple mullet.
So then, I got a couple mullet. I called Ian up. I said, hey, man, let's go out. Let's go see if we can go to this spot. I've seen the fish here. I saw someone catch a fish there, So the next day, we go out that next morning, and I had a 30-pound leader line, and I had some good gear. Probably needed a little bit more, but I'm always believing that I can, we can wrestle it.
And you can.
I don't want to, I don't want to go out there with a shark pole and catch a big snook. It's just, for me, it's not the way to go. But that being said, so we get out there, and we're chunking out. We throw out I cut off the mullet head for Ian. It's a mullet head with a little bit of back on it. So it's the size of a softball almost, and we throw it out there. I throw another bait out there. And what I noticed that morning, the tide was almost slack, and it was right around 7:30. So we've been there for about a half hour. We had a catfish come upon, catfish, they're gonna figure it out.
Oh,
yeah. But lo and behold, out of nowhere, Ian picks up the rod. I said, that's it, man. And we look over, and it boils up. And then I knew it was a big old bucket mouth. It was just giant. I'm like, tighten the drag, bro, tighten the drag. He tightens the drag, and I do the other thing you're never supposed to do. I'm freaking, I step in, and I tighten his drag,
Yeah, but why'd he even tighten it?
Well, he tightened it.
Was it running to the mangroves?
It was just running, just going and
or
going
out in
and
the
going.
open? Let him go. What's he going to break
No,
you
it
off
was
on?
running right towards the mangroves.
Oh, I got
We
you.
were away from the mangroves, but he knew right
he
where
was
he was
heading
going.
in.
Yeah, so I apologize to say. So he was just
They're
going straight
smart.
toward the, they are smart. But it was freight training. Boom, boom, boom. When I saw it boil up, I knew it was just the biggest snook that I saw. Here it is in plain sight, too, where this is, where people drive boats by it all the time. So I step in, tighten the drag,
Pow.
No, did not pop it. That's what I didn't want to do that. That the golden rule, because if I step in tight and I can't pop it. I tighten it, it's still going, zzz. I said, really? He goes, hey. And zzz, bing. Ian drops to his knees. And I'm like, it's over. That's it. That was it, man. And he's like, no. I'm like, I know, man. And I'm saying thing. I'm shaking. I'm like, no, dude. I said, I can't believe that was a freight train. And, we hang out for another hour and nothing ever happens.
Yeah.
So
that's what you fish for. You fish for that big one like that. And I'll tell you something, Wayne. Right now, coming up that river, in the next week or two, it's going to get wide open with big fish. That trussel on the Little
41
Manatee,
trussel.
the trussel at the Alafai River, Palm River trussel, that's all going to be dynamite stuff. Those trussels have been there for so many years. They hold the heat there. The fish know the change is coming. They're following those shad in there. It's going to be unbelievable.
Oh, it's going to be a great winter. And we're going to go on the Alafai trip. So what the crazy part is, to go back to the Ian Beckles story, is I said, listen, I'm coming again tomorrow. You want to come? He said, yeah. So I went to the brewery that night, and lo and behold, there was a bait store out there that had ladyfish. I bought 5 ladyfish, frozen ladyfish. We went back the same time, and the craziest part is, when we got there again, This time, I said, Ian, pick up a 40-pound leader line because I had the 30, but it wasn't even about the leader line because he broke the Power Pro. I mean, it got in the weeds. So I got a little bit stiffer pole, because he was saying, well, I couldn't have done that more to catch that fish. I said, you're almost right. I feel bad because
both of y'all a bunch of rookies.
Yeah,
That's all I can tell you. I'd have put the fish in the boat. We'd have been eating him that night. I promise you that.
Yes, well, if you would have put in the boat, I know you would have been eating that night. But you probably would have started off with a little heavier gear,
Yep, you're right. Yeah, Brett Norris does that to me all the time. He'll take that 30-pound. Now when I fish with him, he'll even do 20 pounds.
No. I mean,
I carry my own 60.
Well,
Kobe rod.
And I get that side of it. I mean, I went to the 40.
I catch them on 80 in the Alafai River. Now, I tell you what, Wayne, Mr., names his fish and pets them and combs them and all that stuff.
That's all right, baby.
He's going to tell you 80-pound test on a 6/0.
It's cheating.
It's cheating. It's no fight. But I promise you, you hook a 40-inch snook on 80-pound grouper rod at the Alafai Trestle, you got about a 15% chance of getting that fish because you know what? They will pull what they want to for 20 yards.
Yeah,
I don't care if it's locked.
Well,
they pull.
I think you're right because that big tail and exactly what happened the first time. So the second day, I actually had a bigger pole, a beach pole. I had it at the house.
Yep.
My brother-in-law bought
Lots
for me.
of leverage.
Yeah. So Ian's a big guy. Went back the next day, the 40-pound leader. Got the ladyfish, and lo and behold, I don't know, it was the same about 30 minutes later. And the crazy part is, as we were just getting set up, the guy that I saw the time before, he pulled his boat and he goes, "Hey, can we move in next to y'all?" I said, "Yeah, come on in."
Yeah, like it's your spot, right?
He didn't recognize me, but I knew it was the same because he had the same dog on the boat.
So if you're around the Little Manatee River, be looking for the guy in the Silver King shirt in a pontoon boat. He's
Yeah.
not your friend.
Yeah, it's not a brown pontoon boat. But he pulled in, and I saw him on a Friday, and he came back on the Sunday. So they were doing something just like anyone else. You know how it is. When you're going hunting in Georgia or you're fishing the Alafai River, you're learning from somebody else, and you make your own judgment calls how you're doing things. But I knew if we persevered, went back the next day, we might get lucky. Lo and behold, next day, we're sitting there, and same thing this time. It freight trains again. It's almost identical. Zzz, and it goes zzz, like you said, Mike. It's not stopping. It's going and going. And Ian's stumbling on the back. I'm like, "Come on, man!" I said, "Tighten the drag." He tightens the drag again. I step in again, same stuff. I tighten the drag, and it's running, boom, boom. Zzz, and I said, reel down, Ian." He pulls that rod up. He gets 2 cranks in, and it turned the head. It turned her head.
Awesome.
And she had her turn. And then he started reeling. He goes, "I don't know if it's that big." I said, "Dude, it's a giant fish." He pulls around. I have no net on the boat. I really don't, I don't want to get them all laced up. Maybe I can buy a net from you that doesn't hurt.
No net. And
Yeah.
you wonder why you ain't landed one yet.
Well, if there's
So come on, land the plane. Tell us what happened. You got me excited about this.
So we come around, turn around the corner, and he's reeling it up. And I get down the back of the transit. There's a place in the back of the motor you can sit down and get in. I put my 2 hands in it. I pull it up. And it's just a giant fish. I mean, it ended up being 42 inches.
Wow.
42 inch, and it's fat as day is long.
When was that?
It was
How long ago?
over a month ago.
Oh, wow. It was something current.
Over a month ago, dead bait.
And where was, I don't want to know the spot. I've probably been there before, but I can tell you that it's probably close to the outside. That's where those fish spawn a month ago. If you caught one there, you can bet they'll be there.
They were on the outside, and they were just laying up in there. And I don't know, but they were gone. Then as soon as they were there for 3 days, they were gone.
Well, they're probably heading towards that river because you're talking a month ago. Time starts to change.
And
Great
after
story.
that,
I bet Ian.
Oh no, you gotta look at it. I mean,
Ian
it's
didn't want to
stupid.
eat that fish.
No.
You sure you didn't bring that one back?
No, I didn't.
Because Ian likes to
Well,
eat. I know
Ian
that.
loves to eat
He
fish.
loves fish.
He loves to eat burritos, fish, hot dogs, hamburgers. He loves to eat it all.
That's awesome, man.
But the thing is, with that was just a catch and release on that one, which you can see. Actually, I'll get the pictures. It just almost, it doesn't even look
Oh yeah,
real.
it was like the turkey shop.
No, we
figure.
do have the
But
pictures.
It had
of
no picture.
I do have
of
the
it.
pictures of that one though.
No. Oh,
Yeah.
you do got pictures.
Oh yeah, I got
I
that
thought
one.
You were telling me
Giant.
We had no proof.
When it makes Ian's beard look and his head look small, that's a big. That's a big
an
snook.
awesome. I'd like to see that one. Send that one in. I think we're doing to the. You may win
Yeah.
something on that.
Oh yeah, I
You
think
win a
so.
little- maybe you win a net.
Yeah.
A landing net.
A landing net that doesn't
Yeah.
hurt the fish.
And you know what? No, you don't worry about that with a landing net. You get the biggest one you can. I call it the buddy net because your buddies never know how to net. So you get them like one
Yeah,
about the size of a
oh no,
100-gallon drum.
Yeah, the one because you don't want your brother letting the fish lay over the net and he breaks
No.
the leader and it's gone.
Oh, yeah.
He couldn't even net it. My brother couldn't net the fish.
That was a special one. Something else, Wayne. You're part of Silver King Brewing, right?
Silver King Brewing Company. Yes,
Yeah.
Michael.
Out in Tarpon Springs.
Yeah,
Y'all just opened up, didn't you? Because of the, I mean, you were open a couple hours, but I think they're kind of letting everything after the Chiquita or whatever.
The Chiquita,
yeah.
the Rona.
So y'all are rocking and rolling. Wayne is part of that with Brett Gamrot.
And John Troyer, Brett Garamont, and John Troyer. It's an old, well, it's an old jail cell fire station.
It's a pretty neat place
yeah.
to go. I've been over there. I don't go to Tarpon Springs much, but I definitely made the trip on your grand opening. I thought it was pretty neat. Wayne's been a friend of mine forever. We've just connected recently, probably over the last few years. Got some good stories coming up. We're going to talk in the next segment. One of them is a little reality show that me and he drugged me into, like something's going to happen. I didn't.
Wow.
Always something different with Wayne, but we're going to talk about that stuff.
A reality show.
Yeah, what was it? It was something crazy.
Fish out of water.
Fish out of water. 4 guys. I got some good time. That's where I met Tim Whitfield,
Tim Whitfield.
Brett Norris. I got hooked up back with you, and Gamrot was leading the whole crew.
Yeah.
Boy, we were blind, weren't we, having him as a leader?
Yeah, it was. I give him credit. He wrote to the people, but they came down and
They filmed us for a week. And
we
it was
stayed at
something
Mike's
special.
house and
We'll talk
Mike's
about
home,
that
yeah.
on the next one. Let's take a break right now, and we'll be right back.
All right.
We're back. T.A. Mahoney, Tales from the Dark Side with my weirdo buddy, Wayne Gonzales.
Right. Thank you, Michael Mahoney, for having me, brother.
Yeah, man. I told y'all a little bit. I kind of grew up with Wayne a little bit. We were both in Brandon, kind of went to school and played some basketball and some sports together, that kind of stuff. And he started off roofing. I was more in the marine business. And probably about, I'd say 5 years ago, I got a call from Brett Gamrot.
Yeah, sure
And
was.
he says, Mahoney, you want to do a reality show. Now, this is the first time ever going public with this story, right? And it's going to be a good one.
This is 6 years ago, right?
Yeah, was it 5 or 6 years
Yeah.
ago? So we're going to do this story. Brett's got everybody hooked up. He's done talked to people in Canada and California. They're all flying in. We're setting up this big
They're
deal.
flying in. It's amazing.
Yeah.
And they did.
It was Tim Whitfield, Brett Norris, you, me,
And
Gamrot.
And Brett Gamrot. Yeah.
And Gamrot. And that was the crew, and Gamrot was leading it. And it was, as far as thinking, first of all, I realized one thing. That week we spent with this so-called reality show, I realized that there's no such thing on TV as a reality show. It's the furthest thing from anytime like Naked and Afraid and all that garbage. It's all set up storyline with characters because that's all they did with us.
Yeah, that's what they did with us. But we even tried to fight it a little bit, which we did. They said, you can ad lib and do your thing, but that's when you realize, there's no reality.
It's not
to it.
about that.
Yeah,
And I can tell you the one thing positive that came out of it is what we have 4 or 5 days of filming and fishing
Yes,
together.
sir. Yeah.
And I got to hang out, and I really got to know Tim Whitfield. That's when I met Brett Norris. It's when I reconnected
fishermen,
with
too,
you.
Tim and Brett. Yeah.
We had a great time over there. We
Yeah.
stayed in Anna Maria for a week. They paid for everything. We ate dinner on them, and
we were able to stay down Anna Maria Island
Yep.
out of your place and fish out of there. And it was exciting for a moment. You're like, wow, if this.
Yeah, you start dreaming a little
like,
bit,
man,
right?
and then you realize, oh, hold on. They're going to put us on TV, and they want you to act. They want you to act like a clown.
Yeah.
And if you get, if you actually get on TV, it could go either way for you. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't want.
That's right. It was the furthest thing from reality. I remember in at the very end there, we were having the big party for whoever figured out the name of this beer, and that was what the whole storyline was.
Yeah, that's when you got me, man.
Well, I wasn't going to talk about that, but we can talk about
Well,
that.
it's true though.
What they had us doing was naming a beer, right? Isn't
Yes.
that what it was? Y'all
Yes.
come out with one beer, but the whole idea behind these breweries is multiple different flavors.
And a catchy name,
Yeah.
Silver King Brewing Company. So that's
So we had to think of a different name. So I kind of, I'm thinking to myself, I even told the guys on my team, me and Wayne were not on the same team, and I kind of told my guys, I ain't worried about no name. It doesn't matter what we think about. We don't own the brewery. They do. They're
Right.
going to pick their own name. So we might as well not even
yeah.
not even try. Well, Wayne needed a ride home, right? And we're all meeting back at Wayne's house, and I picked Wayne up. And
Yeah. It was.
I was
appreciate
really
you
nice
giving me a
to
ride.
Wayne.
Yeah.
I was
yeah.
really nice to Wayne. I went and I bought it. I think I bought you a 12-pack, didn't I?
Yeah, the first time you ever bought me anything in my whole life. You
Yeah.
went and bought me a 12-pack. You actually told me to wait in your Hummer.
Yeah.
And listen to some, I think it was Black Sabbath, War Pigs. I'm like, okay, I'm good
Yeah,
here.
I was really getting on Wayne's level. He likes that 80s rock. He asked for a 6-pack. I brought him back a 12 because I had something else planned.
Yeah.
So I let him get, what was it, 2 or 3 or 4 beers
yeah,
in him. It was quick.
I was getting excited. I was feeling good,
Yeah.
too. We were almost bonding. I was like, man,
We were talking about rock music.
Yeah.
So he dropped, and I don't say nothing about the name. So he says to me, hey, did y'all think of a name? And, no, we didn't even work on that, Wayne. We know you guys are going to do it. And, y'all will come up with something good. You own the place, So we wrote about another 5 minutes, and Wayne couldn't stand it. I wasn't even talking about it. What, you want to know the name we picked? Yeah, sure, Wayne. Go ahead and tell me. So Wayne spills his guts. You
Yeah.
remember that telling me?
I remember telling
And
you.
what were you thinking?
Well, I thought it was all cool, until you pulled the reverse on me later on.
So we get to this party, and everybody's there, and they're filming, and they said, "Okay, Mike, you go first." And what was the name that y'all came up with?
I think it was
Silver Queen, wasn't
Silver Queen.
it? Okay,
Silver
Silver
Queen. Yeah.
And they're going to appeal to the women.
Right.
And this is going to be a lighter beer, and then whatever, got makeup on it.
A little bit of rock and roll to it.
A little bit of rock and roll. Women are going to love it. So he tells me this in the truck. So, of course, in this staged reality show, I'm going to come up and tell my name, and then Wayne gets to go last, and he's going to tell the real name, and everybody's going to cheer, and he wins. Mike had different plans.
Yeah, man.
He had done figured out the name. So when they asked me to go first, I'm like, hey, I can go first. No problem. We worked on this all week. You remember that?
Yes, I do.
And I remember when I started talking about it, Wayne had a funny look on his face.
And you looked at me, and I said, no, he's not going to do it, is he? He's
And
not
I
going to
said,
do it.
We've worked on it all week. We've thought hard. We passed up fishing just to talk about it. And what we've come up with is Silver Queen. And when I said that, his eyes were about that big. Jaw hit the ground. Gamrot, I think he started crying.
Yeah, he started
Maybe
crying.
Even puking. I think he just sat down Indian style with his head down, didn't he?
He had to go poop.
Yeah, that's right. Good chance for him to get out of here. But one thing about it, my buddy Wayne didn't let me get away with that. He jumped up on the chair. You can finish it.
Yeah, I said, I can't let this happen this way. Jumped up on the chair.
I ain't going down like that, Mahoney.
And Mahoney was just looking at me like, what are you going to do now? What are you going to do, Wayne? And, I did my little riff, my song, and it wasn't even planned. That's the only part that wasn't planned,
Right.
about this whole thing. Because we all try to do our own things and put our personal touch on it. Went up there and, made my presentation and sang the song. And it actually was it felt good, and it actually felt real. And I said, man, we're on to something here.
Yeah.
And we, as you know, we came close. We never got the phone call back, but we got to see the
People looked at us.
Yeah,
and
the flyer. We were close, but for a minute, Mike, I wonder what would have happened if we would have made. What do you think would have happened? I know they would have had me drinking on TV, and I don't know how that would have worked out.
because it gets out of control when that happens.
They want you to do that.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
they
that's
want
what
you
they
to
want.
be that way. The biggest thing I learned in that is one of the things is a lot of people, I rag on people, and it's funny, and us being up here and talking, but you want to know something? That's natural.
Yeah.
And like during that show, they had asked me, they had these two girls, I don't know where they got them from, some modeling agency, right? These girls are just,
They were hot.
they were
Beautiful.
hot, dimes, bounce quarters off their body. I mean, they were hot.
Yes, they were
So
beautiful.
the producer comes up to me and says, okay, Mike, this is what I want you to do. I want you to go over there and start talking to these girls. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm 30 years older than these girls, 25 or 30 years. Never in my life would I ever approach somebody like that and just start talking to
Well,
them.
Mike, that's when I said, I'll go talk to him.
Well, wasn't I supposed to introduce you to
Yeah.
them?
I
And
said,
I'm
"Give me a
standing there.
shot."
I started talking to him, and then Wayne came up, and I just stopped. And I remember I looked at the director, and I said, come here for a minute, man. He came over, and I said, let me tell you something. If you want me to be as unnatural as you will ever see me, continue to get me to do this.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you right now, everybody that knows me knows I'm not going to be standing there trying to Rico Suave some young girl,
No.
and it just ain't working. Now, Wayne, he jumped right in. They
Yeah,
finished the whole scene up. I stood back and
I was
watched
trying to
him.
dance with him.
Oh, yeah, he was moonwalking across there. You know, you were talking earlier about the rattlesnake. You got to see a rattlesnake. Now, you've been fishing also up in Pensacola, right?
Panama City.
Panama City.
Yeah, Panama City. That's where, because we went there to help out a friend of mine named Carter Middlemass, a great fisherman up there, fly fisherman, triple tail, knows a lot about, and he came from Tampa, went up to Panama City. He didn't live on Panama City Beach, he lived in Panama City, and that's when Michael came up there, went up there to help him out at his house, a couple of his friends, and then stayed for a minute, about 2 years.
Now, do you own property up there now,
Yes,
Wayne?
I bought a
How
couple
did
pla-
that, I don't mean to cut the story, but you know we've had a hurricane that's happening right now. Have you gotten any feedback on?
Well, I know it's up near Fort Walton. There's been, you had sustained winds about 85 miles per hour. Definitely some shingle, but the water was big all the way into Panama City. The water was bigger in Panama City than Michael. That's
Yep,
kind of storm,
that's
just
what I've
different.
heard,
And the
yeah.
tide was different. And I don't know how it is, but it seems like some of the worst hurricanes, they come in, like right now. We all know the tides are higher than ever right now.
And you push more water.
Push giant water
That's
in.
That's what
And,
kills them. And all that rain, too, and it moving so slow.
And when Michael just, it came in at Cat 5 and it hit at Mexico Beach, but the pine trees. So Panama City, we have pine trees here, but nothing like Panama City.
Right.
It was a pine tree forest before they started developing. In Panama City,
Australian pines?
no,
Or regular
Florida
pines?
pine, Florida pine, man, and they are just gorgeous. But Panama City isn't big at all.
No.
The beach is sort of, that's a
Long
little
way
different,
from
yeah.
interstate,
Yeah.
too. You think you're right there. When
And but I never seen trees that were pine trees, 7-foot diameter, all snapped like
snapped
sticks.
over. Well, I hope everything you own up there holds up good. One of the other things I want to talk about, and I had something happen this year, and you were on the trip. It actually involved you. But I'd ask you about, you'd told me years ago that if I ever had an opportunity to have somebody on the boat in Louisiana with me, you want to be that guy.
I wanted to be that
So,
guy.
this is what happened this year. I went there, and I was there for 9 days, and I came home. I was home one day, and I thought to myself, I didn't get my fill. Now, we had killed.
And that's
I remember
amazing.
I remember I called you and told you that we killed 115 redfish. He was the first guy I called to make sure he knew I killed.
He
I didn't
killed
say
100
we caught. I said we killed 115. We didn't get our limit. So
There's no
I-
limit, right?
No, there is a limit, but we were under our limit. It was 4 days.
You were
I
under
think.
the limit, okay, for the first time.
This has never happened to me. So, Wayne, I call him up. Wayne, Louisiana, tuna, 4 days. You want to go? I'm in, Mike. I'm in. Whatever it takes, I am in on that
I'm all
trip.
in. I'm all in.
So we get up there. We got our houseboat. We got the guys.
Awesome boat, though. That's pretty
Yeah.
classic stuff. Yeah.
It was a great time. Had Bunkley there.
Michael Bunkley,
Yeah,
yeah.
he was there.
He
and,
came along for the ride.
My buddy Matt Slap, he was there. And
Love Matt.
And just, I forget. We went
Jason?
twice. Justin.
Justin, yep.
Yep.
Justin, yep.
Yep. It was a good time. So I take Wayne. Wayne's never been there, loves catching fish. I love turning people on to Louisiana. We catch a first yellowfin, The 21-year-old grabs a rod. He's the first one on. I think it was his birthday or something, a birthday trip. We let him have it. He's reeling, fighting this yellowfin. He's probably 60 pounds, 70 pounds.
Ooh,
Had to
smoker.
give the rod up. He started shaking.
200 and something feet deep, Mike.
Yeah, he was out of gas. It was 2,000 feet deep, I think. But he was 200 feet down. He passes the rod off. We land the fish. Then we hook another one. The guy fights that fish. It takes a while. He gets worn out. Might have been Bunkley.
Bunkley couldn't finish.
Dropped it in. I looked at Wayne. I said, Wayne, you're up next. He kind of walked up front and looked at me and said, I can't catch those fish, Mike. I didn't know this is what you were doing. And I go, I called you, Mahoney, the butcher, to come to Louisiana on an offshore trip, and you didn't know what we were doing?
It's amazing. I went up there. I've had some shoulder injuries. When I saw what was going on, I said,
and that's catching fish, people.
No way.
That's what he saw.
Yeah, giant fish, powerful fish, and an eye opener for me for sure. That you've got to be ready, and you can't, and obviously, Mike, our plumber buddy Matt. He did most of the catching. And
I put one in.
Yeah, you put one in, but you were very discreet how you did it.
Oh,
Selective
yeah.
fishing.
I didn't want to teach somebody anything.
But man, these fish, I had to admit, there's no way I would have ripped my shoulder socket right out. These fish were so powerful, and you're talking men. I'm 150 pounds. I'm talking guys 200 pounds, 6'2", and they are getting beat down.
Yeah,
I mean,
those
down by.
Fish will put it on.
And that's when the boys from Louisiana, hey, who's up next now? We got 4 more to catch. And they were serious because they're going to catch 4 more fish.
Oh, yeah. And we did. That first day we caught
our limit.
6 yellowfin. There were 6 guy on the boat. Then he goes, well, it's a little early. Y'all want to go catch some snapper? I think we put 12 red snapper in the boat in less than an hour.
I don't think one was less than 15
Oh,
pounds.
no way. It was great. Some of those pictures I've shared with everybody and have the whole bow of the boat covered. We had 4 days of
Lafayette, Louisiana, where the Mississippi comes rolling out. It's a big eye opener for me realizing that Venice, excuse me,
Yeah.
Venice, yes, Venice it is. What a big eye opener that we still have one of the best fisheries on the planet, right there, where the Mississippi comes out of Venice. Because I've never seen nothing like that.
No.
You've been fishing there
yeah.
a long time. You used to take your boats back in the day.
Yep.
So to know and see that. It's once in a lifetime.
Well, it was great for me, too, for being able to turn somebody on. Just like you were talking about Ian, we talked about during the break, that he has never caught a 40-incher. And for you to be able to put him on that's such an accomplishment.
Feels so good, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. It's the same way when I take people. Like I took Mike Bunkley. Mike Bunkley was also a childhood friend. You're a little bit better buddies
North
with
Brandon
him.
boys, yeah.
Hung out together. But to bring y'all 2 up there and to bring Justin up there and to turn
see
people
it, though.
onto that, incredible.
And you talk about, then also they were catching swordfish. We had one bite, I think it was.
Yeah.
But the swordfish was sort of, from what I learned as I was there, they weren't as plentiful to the last few years. Now, we saw the one was a 200-pounder.
Yeah.
They're catching swordfish up there. They're catching giant yellowfin tuna. They're catching giant red snapper.
Mangoes.
Mangoes.
Big mangoes.
Big mangoes.
Yeah, we had a great time, man.
I got schooled on that, too. You're like, come on, Wayne. Don't clip the bail. Don't clip the bail.
Well, you want to know what? It's funny. And that's a good story. I didn't even think of that. I'm going to tell you about this one. This is what we do. We're fishing for 10-pound mangoes, 10 to 14 pounds. These people that think you free line with the bail open, pulling line out like this, right? Well, you do that here on your
I'm not fly fishing.
Your little baby snapper you catch. Because I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. And it happened to him. And I told him about it, and they still did it until they listened to me. I think I put one in the boat.
You put one in the boat.
12 pounds, I'm done. That's how you do it.
I got schooled.
But what happens is you got that bail open. You don't have the time. It's not a 20-inch snapper. So when you're pulling line out, you pull 3 pieces out and shut the bail and pull the line to the roller.
And you try and get your bait to sink down a little bit.
Because when he hits, he's not stopping. You don't have time. So I'm over here, I'm telling Wayne, flip the bail. Well, if I flip the bail, I got to do it 5 times. Well, do it 100 times. Whatever it takes to catch the fish. He didn't want to listen. He's a better fisherman, typical. He leaves it there. It's pulling. He's trying to get it flipped back over. Well, it's got half the bale with all the pressure. It ain't locking back in. And if it does, it's not in the roller.
The walk of shame. The walk of shame back. I told you, Wayne, get out of the way. Let me get in there.
And then I put the 12-pounder in the boat. Mic drop.
And believe me, I'm just trying to. I was like, I'm just trying to learn and listen. And he was right. It's so amazing. But again, same old story, boy. When those we're fishing this oil rig. You're right on it, and they get in there.
It's do or die.
They get it, man. They know what's up.
You
it's
either
do or die.
And
same old stuff. They're not 20 inchers. They're big and they're fat and they're heavy and they know what they're doing. You know, you take a rookie up there like me, you get schooled a little bit. I was humbled very quick.
What a fun time we had up there. We had the stuffed baked potatoes, seafood baked potato.
You brought some beautiful steak. God bless. That was one of the best
steak
nights.
And lobster, wasn't it?
Steak and lobster.
Yeah, we had a good time up there. Wayne, I appreciate you coming out and spending some time with me today.
I appreciate you having me out, man.
I've had a great time and talking fish stories, and I hope we get on here and talk some more.
I'm looking forward to it. I love being here at T.O. Mahoney's. It's a Hillsborough tradition. T.O. Mahoney's is. It's just been a classic. Always coming. The funny thing, Mike, is it just the store keeps getting better and better, man.
Yeah, it's the customers is what does it, and I appreciate everything, Wayne. If you need anything for your roof, Wayne Gonzales Roofing. If you need a beer,
if you need
at an old jailhouse, go to Silver King over there in Tarpon Springs. Check them out.
I appreciate you, Michael.
All right, thanks, guys. We'll see you next time.
Peace out.